Ladies and gentlemen, right now in Jakarta, yeah, 37 minutes past uh, 1 o'clock, and in Malaysia right now is 9 minutes past 2. Therefore, we will to start right now international lecture series study based of academic and best practice with the theme Woman Entrepreneur and Small Medium Enterprise Financial Control. The episode 207 with the famous speaker today, Dr. Erna Lovita, SAMSE, Accounting certificate of accountant, and banyak sekali sertifikatnya. Senior lecturer daripada STEA Indonesia Jakarta, and then Dr. Hazaria Muhammad Noh, senior lecturer University Kuala Lumpur, Malaysian Institute of Aviation Technology. Dia juga vice chairperson Next Generation Show Malaysia. Nanti boleh dibagi tahu sikit apa perkara ni Next Gen CILT ni. Dia akan cakap nanti tentang Women Entrepreneur in Aviation, and nanti kita lepas itu akan meminta juga sharing Dr. Budi Endarto, Sarjana Hukum Magister Humaniora, Universiti Wijayaputra Indonesia. Okay, but I will to inform you first that this event not conference. Therefore, you must be to relax and enjoy je. Jadi kita ni bukan conference. Jadi therefore kena relax dan enjoy sahajalah. After every speaker there is a song by video for refreshing. Ini tak biasa tempat lain. Jadi habis sharing ada lagu satu untuk kita dengarkan. Jadi don't worry, be happy lah macam tu ya. Jadi the first welcoming speech from me. The second we will to look ASEAN lecturer community official video around 3 minutes. And then we come to the first speaker. Kalau saya nampak di sini nama Ibu Erna, nama Ibu Puan Hazaria. Kalau kita orang akademik biasa guna alfabet kan, I, B, C, D, E, H. Jadi Ibu Erna kena cakap awal lah, karena dia E, baru nanti H. Puan Hazaria. Therefore, after Ibu Erna share, we will to refreshing with the song by video. Indah Gumilang, assistant professor in the cockpit, will be to say about it. And after the song for refreshing, go to second speaker. And question answer will be to start after all the speakers sharing. Therefore, the participant, you can to share your question in the chat box, or if you want to share direct to my email address, you can use my address in the chat box right now. Okay, sekali lagi mari kita mulai dengan berdoa menurut kepercayaan masing-masing. Berdoa, pray first please. Okay, thank you very much. Terima kasih. Sekali lagi, welcome speech and lecture committee. Right now, tanpa membuang masa lagi, kita jemput, kita undang Dr. Erna Lovita, the first speaker. You will use around 30 to 35 minutes for the sharing. Silakan.
Thank you for the time, Mr. Reza.
Yeah. Welcome. It's very clear screen. Good.
Okay.
Right. SME financial controls.
Okay. Okay. Dear Dr. Haza and Dr. Budi and all participants, it's a pleasure to be able to participate in event. Hopefully this afternoon can be discussion and sharing about SME and role of women as entrepreneur. As we know that SME are very large role in encourage the entry economic, and so my topic today is about how the need financial control in SME This is based on main problem of SME is financial management. And furthermore, at the end, we'll present about how women currently have a big role growth of SME. Okay, let me speak in English and Bahasa, Mr. Reza.
Right. Campur-campur boleh.
Okay, SME problem in Indonesian. The growth of SME in Indonesia quite high, and this opportunity is very good for increasing national economic growth. But more entrepreneur will accelerate the improvement of Indonesian status as development country. So SME have a significant role the economic Indonesian. We know contributing 60,3% of the total gross domestic product (GDP). And addition SME menyerap ya 97% of total workforce and 99% of total employment. So last year there were 64,2 million SME units in Indonesia. Based data that show that there are quite a number of SME in Indonesia, but many of them fall in the early years of their business. During the pandemic, approximately 13 million SME went off business. The main problem of SME are the capital and marketing factor, and other problem as workforce skill, distribution, raw material, and so on. The capital factor and ability of financial management are the main problem. So around 51,09% SME. When SME keep record and have good bookkeeping, maybe SME will be to be control their business finance and spread personal money from business money. And previous research found that many SME are accounting blind atau buta akuntansi ya. In other words, SME don't have good bookkeeping. So SME have a perception that bookkeeping is a complicated and time consuming. Jadi menurut mereka bookkeeping itu akan menghabiskan waktu dan sangat rumit ya, sehingga so they choose not to apply a good bookkeeping for their entity. And business decision that are made really more on experience and memory alone, not on basis on financial data. Di sini saya ingin menunjukkan bahwa sebenarnya sangat luar biasa pertumbuhan SME di Indonesia, dan itu sangat mendukung pertumbuhan ekonomi nasional di Indonesia. Dan ini ditunjukkan dengan bagaimana kontribusi yang luar biasa dari SME ini terhadap GDP di Indonesia. Namun sayangnya belakangan pada saat pandemi lalu, itu diperkirakan sekitar 30 million dari SME itu dari SME untuk memanage finansialnya, sehingga hal itu ditunjukkan dengan rata-rata SME tidak melakukan akuntansi yang baik ya, sehingga saya katakan di sini accounting blind para pelaku dari SME ini. Bentar. Nah, di sini saya ingin mencoba menjelaskan tentang financial control and business entity concept for SME. We know business entity concept is a basic concept in accounting. The accounting business unit is an independent organization spread from the other organization or other individuals. So one business unit with another business unit or within its owner, there is a clear dividing line. So a financial event involving of business should not be mixed other business entity or their owners. So the concept of entity business is important for SME for to financial condition and result of operation achievement organization or a part of an organization. Jadi yang ingin saya tekankan di sini adalah bagaimana seharusnya pelaku usaha atau pelaku dari UMKM itu memahami atau mengenal tentang konsep bisnis entity. Di mana dalam konsep bisnis entity ini dijelaskan bahwa harus ada pemisahan yang jelas antara aset dari perusahaan dengan aset pribadi. Nah, itu yang umumnya tidak dilakukan dalam SME atau dalam sebuah UMKM, sehingga terkadang ada campur antara keuangan owners maupun keuangan dari usahanya. Nah, ini yang dikatakan pada dasarnya ini bisa menjadi sebuah pendekatan dalam melakukan kontrol dalam keuangan sebuah SME. Sehingga ketika sebuah UMKM itu bisa secara disiplin menerapkan dari bisnis entity konsep ini, diharapkan mereka mau tidak mau akan menerapkan bookkeeping, ya, dan harapannya bookkeepingnya itu akan lebih menjelaskan bagaimana mereka memisahkan antara aktivitas entity maupun aktivitas pribadi. Nah, ini tadi yang tadi saya katakan bahwa the low understanding of the business entity concept for financial record of SME, so report to be chaotic ya, atau kacau di sini, sehingga menyebabkan organization financial statement maybe include financial transaction that are not actually related to the organization. Maybe solution no, for SME digitalize or recording of business transaction is a solution for SME in the financial reporting process. We know accounting applications, Accurate, Mayo, Post, My Journal, Cashbook, and sebagainya ini memberikan sebuah kemudahan, ya, memberikan sebuah kemudahan bagi SME yang rata-rata di sini kita tahu bahwa SME belum menerapkan digitalisasi, dan dengan digitalisasi yang relatif saat ini sudah lebih sederhana, lebih simple, maka aplikasi-aplikasi accounting itu mestinya akan sangat membantu bagi SME dalam mencoba melakukan financial record of transaction in host bisnisnya. No, tentu di sini tidak sederhana bahwa pengalaman yang terbatas dari SME terkait dengan bagaimana menerapkan digital teknologi itu sangat memerlukan peranan dari government or akademik. Jadi dalam hal ini pemerintah atau kami dari sisi akademisi itu seharusnya bisa berperan dalam mendukung perkembangan dari SME ini, sehingga yang tadi diharapkan SME mempunyai sebuah financial record yang baik itu bisa tercapai, ya, dan harapannya dengan ketika mereka atau para pelaku UMKM ini sudah memiliki financial record yang baik, mereka bisa lebih mengembangkan sebuah usaha yang lebih establis ke depannya. Sebagaimana dalam sebuah riset itu menunjukkan bahwa memang pada dasarnya harus ada combine antara pelaku UMKM maupun istilahnya pelaku UMKM yang dikenal dengan istilah generasi parubaya ya, generasi parubaya dengan generasi milenial. Jadi kalau pelaku UMKM-nya itu mereka sudah punya pengalaman, experience di dalam menjalankan usahanya, dan relatif biasanya UMKM Indonesia itu sangat struggle. Jadi kenapa? Karena mereka memang punya sebuah experience yang luar biasa sejak yang mungkin kadang diturunkan dari keluarganya sebelumnya. Dan ketika combine dengan generasi milenial itu akan menjadi sesuatu kombinasi yang sangat kuat ya. Jadi artinya dengan pengalaman dari pelaku UMKM dan pengalaman dari milenialnya terkait dengan bagaimana menggunakan teknologi, dan itu akan menjadi kombinasi yang sangat menarik tentunya. Nah, kenapa ini saya angkat ya accounting equation, di mana di sini digambarkan bahwa dalam sebuah accounting equation kita tahu bahwa aset sama dengan liability plus equity, di mana aset menunjukkan economic resource and liability and owner equity claim to economic resource. Jadi hal ini yang tidak ada di dalam sebuah UMKM ya. Jadi yang terjadi dalam sebuah UMKM itu adalah cash basis pada dasarnya penerapan pencatatannya. Artinya cash receipt atau penerimaan kas itu diperoleh dari penjualan, kemudian cash disbursement terjadi karena adanya beban-beban yang harus mereka keluarkan, sehingga mereka atau pelaku UMKM menganggap bahwa profit or different for sale and expense itu sama dengan profit yang dapat digunakan oleh owner. Jadi artinya di sini pada dasarnya pelaku UMKM itu karena tidak melakukan atau tidak memahami konsep dari accounting equation ini, jadi berpikir bahwa financial report yang mereka buat itu tidak lain hanya merupakan cash basis, jadi merupakan perbandingan saja antara selisih antara penerimaan dengan expense. Mereka tidak memikirkan hal-hal lain, bahwa bagian dari pendapatan itu akan merupakan bagian dari aset company, aset perusahaan yang harus masuk lagi untuk dikelola oleh perusahaan. Nah, itu yang tidak ada pada dasarnya dalam pelaku UMKM. Sehingga katakan bahwa general thinking of SME is managing financial statement ya. Jadi bagaimana mengelola sebuah laporan keuangan yang bisa sesuai dengan kebutuhan UMKM. Tentunya kita harapkan bahwa kita tidak membuat sebuah atau tidak menyulitkan dari pelaku UMKM untuk membuat sebuah laporan keuangan yang rumit, tapi sebaliknya dengan adanya kombinasi dengan digital teknologi itu, maka bisa menggambarkan bahwa sangat sederhana sebenarnya mengalokasikan bagian dari keuntungan yang harusnya masuk kembali ke dalam operasional perusahaan. Jadi tidak serta-merta itu menjadi langsung digunakan oleh owner. Nah, selanjutnya di sini saya kaitkan dengan woman entrepreneur. Jadi the Qatar survey showed that 42% of the 707 SME owner survey are university student. In addition to university student, Qatar note that 44% of SME owner in Indonesia are women. So Google also have a training entitled Grow with Google. The contribution of women is clearly visible in SME sector. More than 53% of SME are owned by women, and this number continue in increase. The result of LPM FEBUI 22 research revealed that during the COVID-19 pandemic, the number of female SME activities who started off business from start through Tokopedia almost 1,5 kali ya dibandingkan laki-laki. Jadi dengan kata lain lebih banyak woman yang terlibat dalam sebuah pengembangan SME dibandingkan pria berdasarkan data yang ada di Tokopedia. Nah, sehingga ini adalah suatu slogan yang menarik, perempuan berwirausaha, perempuan pahlawan ekonomi keluarga. A lot of things have been done in terms of empowering Indonesia women so that they can play a bigger role in given the opportunity to continue to develop. Ya, jadi yang ingin saya paparkan di sini, di tengah-tengah kondisi di mana pertumbuhan SME sedang didorong, di sini kami menemukan bahwa ternyata rata-rata dari SME itu cukup banyak dimiliki atau dikendalikan oleh wanita. Dan di sini menunjukkan bahwa wanita bahkan itu 53% ya dari SME yang ada, dan itu berkembang terus pada saat ini. Dan menariknya data dari Tokopedia juga menunjukkan bahwa 1,5 kali wanita itu lebih banyak dibandingkan pria yang memiliki. Mengapa? Karena diketahui bahwa perempuan berwirausaha itu lebih didasarkan pada mereka punya motivasi alam, istilah saya ya. Motivasi alam bagaimana mereka harus membantu memenuhi kebutuhan keluarga, sehingga mereka harus mau tidak mau survive dengan mengembangkan usaha atau mendirikan sebuah usaha. Dan ketika di sini perempuan berwirausaha ini didukung oleh negara, mestinya itu akan menjadi suatu peluang bagaimana secara berkelanjutan mengembangkan sebuah mungkin bisa dikatakan sebagai sebuah keunggulan ya bagi negara.
Betul.
Nah, dikatakan lebih lanjut bahwa women SME are one of the government target in order to give birth to 1 million new established entrepreneur. Jadi targetnya negara adalah bagaimana menghasilkan 1 million women SME, karena diketahui bahwa the problem is productivity and product quality. Jadi pada dasarnya di sini women business are more about the survival economic to meet household needs. Jadi kenapa woman itu lebih dalam bisnisnya itu lebih survivor, lebih struggle, karena dikatakan mereka punya kebutuhan dasar tadi, yaitu bagaimana membantu memenuhi kebutuhan keluarga mereka. Sehingga di sini saya katakan maybe indirect impact in the SME income can improve the education of children in the family. In long term is hope that will give birth to young entrepreneur. Jadi kalaupun wanita-wanita ini belum menjadi entrepreneur yang handal, paling tidak mereka akan bisa meningkatkan pendidikan putra-putri dalam keluarganya, sehingga harapannya dalam jangka panjang putra-putri inilah yang nantinya akan menggantikan mereka-mereka sebagai entrepreneur yang luar biasa tadi ya, sehingga target-target yang diharapkan untuk mencapai pertumbuhan ekonomi negara itu bisa betul-betul bisa direalisasikan untuk Indonesia, tidak lagi semata-mata menjadi negara berkembang tapi menjadi negara maju. The government will continue to assist women SME in order to competent, for example, facilitating access to financing not only for working capital but also for the product development. Jadi kreativitas memang harus dibantu dari women SME ini, karena tadi dikatakan bahwa mereka punya dasar pendidikan yang terbatas, ya, jadi untuk membangun sebuah kreativitas itu yang mungkin harus didukung oleh pendampingan tadi, baik oleh pemerintah maupun oleh akademisi. Nah, ini pada dasarnya Indonesia sudah banyak punya successful Indonesian entrepreneur woman. Di sini hanya sebagian yang saya paparkan. Seperti kita tahu ada Martha Tilaar yang sudah sangat lama menjadi successful businesswoman dalam bidang kosmetik ya. Kemudian Diajeng Lestari ini masuk generasi milenial, Dan mereka punya Muslim fashion dengan nama hijab. Ya. Kemudian ada Nabila Al-Sagof yang bergerak di bidang doku atau startup di dalam fintech. Nur Hayati Subakat dalam big domestic businessman baik di bidang Wardah, Putri, Makeover, and others. Ada Hanifah Ambadar itu yang bergerak di bidang tulis menulis yaitu Female Daily Network. Itu adalah beberapa contoh successful Indonesian entrepreneur woman. Thank you. Itu yang bisa saya sampaikan.
Ibu ini hebat sekali time managementnya ya. Ibu Erna is very nice time management because right now you use only 33 minutes. It's very good time management. Jadi bagus sekali. Tadi Ibu Erna mengatakan bahwa wanita-wanita Indonesia dan mungkin juga Malaysia itu mempunyai struggles because they have to responsibility for family. Kita sebut perjuangan mereka itu selalu disertai doa, kan begitu ya. Karena itu kita kena dengar satu lagu yang ada kaitannya perjuangan dan doa. Nanti Puan Haza mungkin akan banyak mengingat lagu ini karena ini banyak perjuangan dan sekali harus ada doa juga. Indah Gumilang will be to share about the legend of Indonesian top singer yang dikenali oleh seluruh orang Indonesia dan saya kira juga orang Malaysia dan Singapura dan lain-lain karena dia adalah the king of gitulah. Indah, are you ready to share? Kalau Michael Jackson kita sudah kenal the king of pop. Ini kita pun punya the king. Indah, are you ready to share about my email to you right now? Indah, ada dengar suara saya tak? Halo?
Ya Pak,
Indah
bentar.
Gumilang. Oke. Yang penting you adalah takut you tidur pula. Jadi ini saya duduk dengan Indah di tempat yang berbeza, Puan. Jadi macam saya dekat Shah Alam, Indah Gumilang pula di Gombak ataupun di Bangi. Jadi tempat yang berbeza, tapi right now we can to use collaboration with the digital era. Tadi saya.
I think I will share my screen.
But right now before you sharing, mungkin boleh diterangkan sikit. What about the chairperson next generation CILT? Apa satu itu?
Boleh. Okay. Alright. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to all the audience. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining the International Lecture Share Series. I think dah series yang banyak dah ya, Prof.
207 hari ini. Wow. Okay, you punya sound macam slow dah. Dengar. Hello. Ada hal ke? Macam dekat Sepang ada airline lewat. Kang Indah ada problem ya dengan Dr. Hazariah ya? Ada problem sikit macam.
Hello, Prof.
Ya, you ada problem sikit ke dengan
suddenly I've been kicked off from the Zoom.
No problem, you can to start more because I know you dekat airport jadi banyak gangguan lah.
Okay, now my voice is okay?
Yeah, right. Very good.
Okay, all right. So maybe I'll start again. Thank you each and everyone for coming to this very amazing international lecture series, and I think this is the series yang dah banyak dah. And thank you, Prof. Sharul, for inviting me to be part of this lecture. And as everyone can see that my name is Hazaria. I'm from University Kuala Lumpur, Malaysian Institute of Aviation Technology, where our school is focusing more on the aviation and aerospace related. And part of that, I'm also the Prof was mentioning to explain about the next gen and VLAT and such. We are from the Chartered Institute Logistic Transport Malaysia, where I'm the vice chairman for the next gen. Next gen, as we know, is the next generations. And if there is a student inside here, meaning that you are the next gen, you are the future leader of the country, whether in Malaysia or whether in Indonesia. And CILT Malaysia WILAN is focusing on the women in logistic and air transport. And I do believe that Prof. Jessica is part of WILAT, is the chairperson for WILAT, and I'm the treasurer for WILAT. And I think part of that also, I'm the corporate aviations in aerospace vice president. So meaning that in here, when we are talking about the women entrepreneurship in aviations, we are talking about the woman empowerment rather somehow, yeah, Prof. That lead to the topic for today. And in anything that we are talking, in any angle that we are approaching, we are related to the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. And when we talk about the woman in entrepreneur, meaning that we are focusing on the SDG number 5, which is the gender equality. And nevertheless, when we talk about the students out there, we know that we need to ensure that the quality educations, by having this seminar, by having this lecture, I think we are trying as much as possible to close gap between Malaysia and Indonesia in having the good quality education by sharing the knowledge. And again, when we talk about the woman entrepreneur, rather somehow is portray the woman empowerment in SDG 5, where we always wanted to make sure that there is no interpreting of woman empowerment, because I think every person in the world, they have their own different definition in understanding their empowerment. Nevertheless, when we wanted to say it here, we are trying actually to tell the peoples out there that empowering women is not protecting and is not defending the weak woman. Okay, when we talk about the entrepreneurship, meaning that if we have the woman empowerment in any angles, in any, what we call it, automotive, even aviation, aerospace, even maritime, for example, this is actually an effort to strengthen the woman in the aviation and aerospace, so that the woman can help themselves independently. I think Dr. Erna had mentions about the woman's entrepreneurship in a very vocative manner, so that I think the audience do understand that when we come to the niche area, Dr. Erna is the most expert one, and I'm more into the technicals part of it, yeah, Prof? And also when we talk about the woman entrepreneur and woman empowerment, actually towards the end, the self-reliance will be achieved. How we wanted to portray ourselves as the entrepreneur, and how we wanted to bring ourselves in the community and during the networking. This is just a little bit of the understanding on the women in aviation and aerospace in Malaysia. We do not have very much women entrepreneurs into the aviation and aerospace. What we do have is actually a contribution more to 25 to 30% women in those fields that we can see as this triangle. As we can see, the bottom one, we have the 20% of the flight attendants. We have 11 to 20% of the aerospace engineer, academicians that goes inside under the higher educations, managers, air traffic controller, dispatcher, and we have less than 10% women that involved in the maintenance technicians, the CEO of the organizations, or even the air transport pilots. So by looking at this one, we can see that the lower numbers of women involvement in these aviations and aerospace, where towards the end, we're going to talk more about entrepreneurs. But before we go for the details, we need to understand, actually, when a technical person like me talking about the entrepreneurs, we taking a simple definition, which is actually entrepreneurs is the people that creates job. People that creates jobs in the aviations and in the aerospace industries. So that when we have the person that we call as the entrepreneurs, we are actually creating the women's can be recognized as a successful entrepreneurs through their strong desires, through their qualities, and also their capabilities for robust economic development. That's how we wanted to portray that woman entrepreneurship in the aviations as well as aerospace. And again, when we talk about women entrepreneurship, actually, the basic thing that we wanted to understand is actually when we have this woman involved in these businesses and such, actually this woman is open up power, having a power to open more door to the woman out there. Because why? Because the quality of life can be improved. Yeah, I think Dr. Anna smiling at me, and I think she might be agree with me too. Because we are not talking about the men not giving the enough opportunity for women, but actually, as I was mentioning before, that women need to have their strong capabilities. Women need to have their need to portray that themselves that they are being able to do it. So that's how they wanted, and that's how they can open more door to women, so we can improve the quality of life. And also we can encourage more women to join the industries, because yes, better to know that what some of the challenges are actually the women themselves. Kita sahaja yang tahu, women sahaja yang tahu sejauh mana masalah yang kita hadapi. Yeah, dan juga only women understand what we feel and what we face along the way in order to become a very successful entrepreneurship. Because towards the end nanti I will talk about the challenges, because as we know, women people's are the one that's handling the people's at home and also the people's at work. So we need to ensure that the life balance is also meets towards the end of our quality of life. Yeah. And before we go for the more, and I think that I do believe that the audience came up from a different backgrounds, but let's us recall back, a step back ahead to understand actually the aviation industries. When we talk about the aviation industries, is actually any businesses, any entrepreneurship that relate to this aviation industries is basically about the logistic. When we talk about the aviation, is actually logistic, moving people from one place to another, or using the air cargo, moving goods one place to another. So among those two logistic important things in the aviations, all the businesses, the ecosystem in the aviation has been created. And nowadays, women's not just becoming the flight crew, stewardess, what we call it, but also becoming a good entrepreneurship in terms of the caterers. Because why? Because they the one who understood well the ecosystem inside the aircraft, how to serve the food, what type of food most of the customers love, for example. So this creating an advantages of the woman that has been involved in the aviation field, for example, like stewardess, to embark and to upgrade themselves and become the entrepreneurship as in the aviation. And also, again, when we talk about the passengers or cargoes, we are dealing with the civil aviation. And when we talk about the military aviation, I do met one amazing lady, Ibu Haryati dari Indonesia. Dia adalah CILT Indonesia, and she's the one who in charge of the military, what we call it, the weapons for Indonesia. And I think this is something that is very amazing. You cannot say that, oh, all the what we call the Air Force, all the military is only dominant by male, but nevertheless, Indonesia is showing that, wow, an amazing lady is handling all those very tough and very credentials work. whereby when we talk about women entrepreneurship in the military, you need to be strong. You need to be firm, and you cannot simply like people's boss you around and ask you, come on, you can do that. No. So meaning that women as entrepreneur need to have a credibility in order to become one person that being respected by others, and in the same time can make a very firm decision without anybody agreeing to it. Okay. This is just to show that businesses, the entrepreneurs in aviation industries, that's huge. There's a lot of businesses. There's a lot of entrepreneurial activities in the aviation. But this is just an example of simple thing. We know aircraft. We embark in the aircraft. We boarding on the aircraft. But nevertheless, we never know actually to make one aircraft actually is a lot of efforts, and it is not focusing only on one country themselves. In order to become one aircraft, it comes from a different part of the world, and in order to make sure that one aircraft towards the end at the assembly line, there is a lot of businesses, there's a lot of entrepreneurial activities being involved. So this is whereby we need to encourage more women to be part of it, and to make sure that we also can have the same area like what men is doing. I would like to share this. Basically, this is a statement from one of the entrepreneur woman in the aviations. She said that we have 7 employees who are in the regulatory compliance businesses. When you buy a new aircraft and you need to fly the aircraft in special use space, this person will help you to help with the authorizations in terms of the authority, like for example, in Malaysia, we have a Civil Aviation Authority Malaysia, Europe, IASA, and FAA, or even in UK, we have CAA. So imagine that by having these statements, this woman basically is portraying that she is dealing with the higher authority in order to make sure that the aircraft is serviceable, that the aircraft is fully complete in order to make sure that they can fly. So the dealing with the paperwork, the dealing with the documentations, approvals, approval bodies, regulation, and in order to make sure that the aircraft is safe in terms of safety, maintenance, for example, the components and part is all being monitored by the woman that deal with the entrepreneurship in this field, which is dealing with the authority. So I can say that in here, the woman entrepreneurship in aviations, one of them is dealing with the continuous improvement of the maintenance of the airline or company itself to make sure that it is safe and it is being authorized to fly. Another example, this is a statement from another corporate jet entrepreneurship. She said that, I like to tell people, we make your dreams of traveling the world a reality, and how we do that is we offer the training and certification necessary to become a corporate flight attendant on private jets. When we talk about commercial and when we talk about privates, it's totally entire different entrepreneurial ecosystem. When we talk about commercial, you are dealing a lot with the what we call it then the authority that govern the passenger safety, passenger capability in terms of safety, health, and such. But when you go to the private jets, it's a different field. The woman that embark in the private jets need to be firm in terms of, you know, only business women or only businessmen that using the private jets. Mostly is the people that have names, might be prime minister, might be the high levels of business men or businesswomen, and they have their own demands. In order for the woman entrepreneur or woman businesses that be part of these private jets, they need to tackle in terms of the communication, a better communication, a better training, and also a better certification in understanding the needs of the private jets. So different field, commercials, and also private. But again, after all, based on the research has been conducted, aviations has been involved with the where the man or woman, but for women it's very low numbers of entrepreneur, and they are dealing with all the logistics and also all the transporter in terms of whether it is military or even it is with the commercial. And again, in order for us to understand the aviation industries and entrepreneurship, we need to understand the value chain that the industries have. This is just an examples of the Ministry of Transport have been laid out about the value chain, starting from the design, engineering and manufacturing, to the leasing company, to the air traffic controller, and also towards the airline. So when we talk about the aircraft design, we can say that women, if involved in the, we have a very remarkable woman that involved in the design and engineering in Malaysia. She is a board director of many companies. She is the owner of the company that dealing with the turbine, that maintaining the gas turbine engine related. So if we look at all these icon, sama ada di Indonesia ataupun di Malaysia, we have our own icon that can be a remarkable point of reference to all the next generation out there to challenge themselves that, yes, I can do it too. And also, nevertheless, Unique Elmiat is basically focusing on more on the students that becoming the licensed aircraft engineer or the aircraft engineer that towards the maintenance, repair, and overhaul. So you are not just becoming the woman's embarking in the businesses of a high-end one, okay, but also you can be part of the woman entrepreneurship in terms of the supply chain, in terms of the goods, in terms of the parts of the components, or even the supplying the manpower for the maintenance, repair, and overhaul. And also include the line maintenance and also ground handling. But nevertheless, towards the end of aviation's value chains, I think more women, especially in Malaysia, they are focusing on the tourism and also the global trade distribution that having the what we call it aviation and aerospace related. Yes, of course, tourism, when you wanted the tourists to come to your place, either you go the land or you use the sea transportation, or in this case, we use the air transportation. And this is also part of the value chain of the woman involved in the entrepreneurship. Nevertheless, just to have an idea of when we talk about the aviation industries, we know that the Airbus, Boeing, and even the Lockheed Martin is the main aircraft manufacturer. Then yes, there's a few women's entrepreneurship that involved in the very high OEM, such as what I mentioned in here. And again, for the engine also, there's a few company, and I might not be able to mention it, but they are also involved in these 4 main engine manufacturer that is very reputable in the world that being used in many of the aircraft nowadays. So meaning that when they are embarked into this company, they need to equip themselves with all the knowledge that required by the aviation industries in order to become the successful entrepreneurship. Then come the challenges, entrepreneurship challenges in the aviation industries, especially dedicated to the women out there. This is not to encourage, but rather somehow it is more in order to understand. If we have these challenges, meaning that there will be an opportunity lies behind it. Yeah, we can see that in here we basically have 6 challenges. The first one is the defying the social expectation. Defying the social expectations means that, what is it? Meaning that in here, women out there, we need to be ourselves. We need to be what we are, and we need to have a confidence in who you are. Especially when we talk about the entrepreneurial activities kind of thing, meaning that you are the leader, or whether you wanted to be the leader or whether you wanted to be the boss, in order to control the whole organization, for example. And also, in order for us to understand that when we talk about the defying the social expectation, we need to understand that sometimes women may feel that they need to adapt or adopt with the stereotypes of males in terms of, don't get me wrong, yeah, because we know that males is normally, when come towards the businesses, they always be competitive, and they sometimes can be aggressive and sometimes harsh, right? But normally when we come to women, we don't need to adapt that stereotype. We women, just be yourself and be confident on what we are. Okay. And then the second one is the assessing the funding. Okay, based on the research in here is saying that assessing funding is whereby we need to understand that it is another way for women out there to overcome the funding issues, is to get more female investor in order to support one another. So that's how the ecosystem can be built up. And again, in the beginning, only women know how, what they feel themselves. And I think looking at this, it can not only inspire, but it also can encourage more women, more females entrepreneurs in this area. Okay, Prof. I almost towards the end. And okay, and the third challenges is that normally we need to ensure that whatever the struggling that we are facing, we need to take it seriously. Because why? We normally we don't give respect to people. Normally, those people need to earn the respect. So as a female entrepreneurship in the male-dominated industries, especially aviation and aerospace, earning respect has been a struggle, because we need to show, we need to demonstrate, and we have to show, seeing is believing, that we are capable. Then, only then, not just one time, might be a series of time, we being able to show that we can do it. Only then we can earn the respect, and we can earn the trust from the industries. The fourth challenges will be that we need to own our we need to owning our accomplishment. For examples, that when I talk about the company, I always find myself saying we instead of I. So meaning that when we say this, meaning that we are not just focusing and concentrating only for ourselves. We are talking on behalf of others. We are talking on behalf of the company. We are talking on behalf of the workers, saying that we appreciate your collaboration. We appreciate your truly trust on our company and such. So again, the challenges that owning our accomplishment need to be right at the right at the time. And then the fifth one is that okay, I think okay, number 5 is building a support network. Okay, so building a support network in here, that we need to find the right support. If we woman, as a woman, we tends to believe in the what has been put on the tables, but rather somehow we need to evaluate the whole things, the whole concept, and the whole ecosystem of the in what businesses you are embarking in. So meaning that finding the right support network is not always been easy, but there will always have a good places for the women out there to be focused on the networking events, such as the International Business Forum, for example, that we at CILT Malaysia have it. And also we have conferences, or we have a business meeting, for example, business networking, that we can have and develop the strong support among the women's entrepreneurs themselves. And the last one, as I mentioning about the challenges that women entrepreneurship is always facing. I think not just women entrepreneurship. I think whoever in here that is a working woman having faces the same thing, because especially in the businesses, I knew that if I had continued working in the corporate world, I would have had to make a lot of choices I did not want to make. So this is truly happens because when you own your own business, meaning that the what we call it, not the burden. I mean the responsibility is higher than you getting paid manual monthly by the university, for example, or by the company. So you need to think, you need to lead the company in order to ensure that by the end of the day, the workers have their salary at their bank account. But nevertheless, the family at home also need to be taken care so that we have a balance between our life, our private life, and also our businesses. This could never be easier, but it can be easier with the understandings of male out there, the strong supporter of women in the house, right? So I think by having that, we can have the balance of the businesses and the family life. This is I'm just going to go through because just to pick a bit of the understanding of the pandemic that we've been facing. And I think Indonesia, whether Malaysia, we are facing the same thing. We are trying to come up with the what we call it, the crisis management during the pandemic. And now in Malaysia, and I think in Indonesia is the same. We are in the endemic area. We are the transition in understanding in essential focus on the revisit and revise the corporate strategy in order for us to become the new normals. And the new normals cannot be easier by the teamwork and by the understanding on every ecosystem in the aviation or in the aerospace industry. And I think in the education levels also, we taking this as seriously because we are the one who preparing the new futures generations out there, the new leaders out there. So we need them to also be ready what will be in the future. Because if it's before, it will be different. But in future, after the pandemic, everything is changing. The landscape of the aviations and the landscape of aerospace in the world is changing. And when we talk about the aviation industries, the business model likely to be eclipsed by the new models after the pandemic, such as the improvement in the robotics, electrifications, the biotech, the supersonic, or we can say that it is the industry revolution 4.0. I think both country is having the same things in preparing, in embedding the new IR 4.0 to make sure that the students are ready for the industries out there. So this can be seen in the aviation 2030, where the disruption and implication toward the aviation sector. So as the woman entrepreneur in the aviations, I cannot follow the same principle as before. After the pandemic, I need to equip myself and the future employee, for example, for the technology for the future. So in the aviation, these are more or less the highlighted of the future that need to be industry of the future that need to be ready. For an example, in here we have the IoT, we have the what we call it, the urban air mobility. I believe that Indonesia also is the same things, and also virtual and augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and in the industries nowadays, aviation industries, we are trying to approach as zero carbon as possible, and ticketless boarding is something that is crucial in order to ensure that only by using the face recognition, starting from the check-in towards the end, you boarding the aircraft is all you don't have to use the ticket only by the face recognition. So in this new technology, meaning that the woman that need to embark in the entrepreneurs related to aviation and aerospace also need to understand what is the future needs later. So again, for the students, especially for the students out there, you need to level up your knowledge and you need to recharge your positivity. How do you feel about all these augmented reality, AI, blockchain, cloud computing, 5G, cybersecurity, and IoT? What do you feel about this? Because in order for you to be ready, you need to have all those possibility and be positive in all these technologies changes. As a conclusion,
Okay.
Prof. Oh,
Yeah.
ada bunyi suara pula. Okay, as the conclusion, we can say that in understanding the woman entrepreneurship, we need to understand that the two factors, whether it is internals or whether it is externals. So the needs for the achievement need to be there, the risk taking, the self-confidence of women to be part of the entrepreneurial need to be there, because this is the most important thing. The internal part is the most important thing. Even though you have a lot of facilities, even though you have a lot of resources, but you yourself did not being able to take the risk, there's no moving forward. Okay, and also the external factors that make the woman successful in the entrepreneurial is also including the economic factors and also the social cultural factors, so that towards the end we can have a positive and significant influence and success to become woman-owned enterprise.
Wow.
Last but not least, again, we need to decide whether or not the goal is worth the risk involved. If it's not,
Wow.
then stop worrying. Yes, this is by Emilia Earhart.
Wow.
Then by that quotes, Prof, I think that's all from me. Thank you for your attention and thank you
Wow.
for listening.
Yes, very interesting. I think Uniki L must be to continue vice counselor with the female more. This. Jadi Ibu Erna sepanjang sejarah University Kuala Lumpur itu belum pernah rektornya perempuan. Sekarang itu perempuan. Saya kira ini Dr. Hazaria akan jadi rektor yang akan datang. I
Saya
will
ni
talk
Prof lebih
to.
kepada technical, Prof.
Okay, no problem. But you are the look, the very yes, yes, yes. Boleh guna Pak, Indonesia diguna bahasa oleh 250 juta orang.
Di Malaysia cuma 35 kan?
Ya,
Itu pun
betul,
Melayu
betul,
juga
betul,
pakai.
betul.
Baik, Prof.
Iya,
Reza.
iya.
Ini kalau melihat
Ya.
Prof. Reza ini seorang arranger yang handal, event organizer suatu kegiatan, pasti di sela itu pasti ada lagu, disajikan lagu untuk apa ya? Untuk meredahkan otot-otot kita, pikiran kita.
Iya. Ya.
Terima kasih di International Lecturer Series ke-20 127 ya.
207.
207. Ini sudah berapa
Iya.
tahun terjadi dilaksanakan ini?
Satu tahun.
Ya.
Oke.
Hebat sekali Pak Reza. Bu Erna,
Ya.
Ibu Dr. Hazaria, sangat menarik sekali. Meskipun untuk gender ya, untuk woman entrepreneur, itu sangat menarik sekali bahwa meskipun antara Bu Erna dan Bu Hazaria, itu Dr. Hazaria itu sangat berbeda objeknya. Ya, kalau di Indonesia memang itu realita yang terjadi. Tapi begitu saya mendengar presentasi dari Dr. Hazaria sangat menarik sekali. Ternyata sudah berkembang ke arah aviation. Sebetulnya dari sisi itu sama-sama ke arah SDG ya, goal kelima kalau nggak salah, gender equality. Itu sangat menarik sekali. Nah, ada satu permasalahan mungkin yang hampir sama. Meskipun di Bu Erna tadi ada Successful Indonesian Entrepreneurs Women, itu kan level-level itu mungkin 1 juta banding 1 mungkin yang sudah lolos ya. Ya Bu Erna ya, contohnya seperti itu. Nah kalau di Indonesia itu memang realitanya SME itu, atau small medium enterprises itu memang realitanya banyak sekali permasalahan gini. Satu permasalahan Pak Reza yang bisa saya angkat dari capital market, yakni fundraising-nya. Ini berbeda. Jadi kalau di Malaysia mungkin kajian Bu Hazaria, Dr. Hazaria itu sudah legal entities yang sudah jelas. Lalu kalau di Indonesia sebagian besar itu non-formal business entity. Itu permasalahan yang paling utama di situ, yang banyak sekali di situ. Jadi untuk naik grade itu susah, gitu. Naik grade-nya susah karena satu permasalahan yang klasik itu adalah yang pertama jelas market, yang kedua adalah capital. Ini yang agak berat untuk didorong ke arah lebih maju di situ agak susah. Oleh karena itu permasalahan-permasalahan ini kalau bisnis aviation-nya jelas itu ternyata sangat kompleks sekali, sudah disajikan secara underlying-nya ada logistik, supply dan segala macam. Ini sangat menarik sekali. Bahkan civil and military aviation bisa dimasukkan oleh gender di situ atau women enterprise. Ini sangat berbeda sekali. Satu Pak Reza mungkin yang perlu saya sampaikan di sini, apabila dimungkinkan saya dalam kesempatan lain ya, ada satu share mengenai opportunity fundraising di capital market. Karena apa?
Boleh.
Di Indonesia dengan diberlakukannya Peraturan Otoritas Jasa Keuangan 53 tahun 2017 dan itu didukung oleh bursa dengan papan akselerasi, memungkinkan, sangat memungkinkan, tapi kajiannya Bu Erna tadi bukan yang non formal legal entitas, tapi yang benar-benar sudah memiliki legal entity. Karena apa Pak Reza? Dalam capital market sekarang itu bukan 2 tahun harus surplus, tidak. 1 tahun pun didirikan kalau memiliki going concern, ya, going concern dan opportunity-nya itu bagus, bisnis plan-nya sudah bagus. Saya pikir itu bisa diberikan kesempatan untuk menggali dana dari publik. Saya pikir menurut saya ini adalah salah satu opportunity yang bisa dikembangkan mungkin di Malaysia maupun di Indonesia sama-sama bagaimana mendorong, mengedukasi small enterprise ini, terutama yang dikelola oleh ibu-ibu atau women itu, agar legal entitas jelas dulu. Berikutnya adalah going concern, digital marketing dan segala macam. Saya punya satu klien, Pak Reza. Ini adalah klien yang bergerak di bidang keset itu daur ulang, reuse. Dia punya scheme yang bagus sekali. Kain-kain perca itu diolah kembali menjadi satu alat pembersih. Tapi konsepnya sangat menarik. Yang pertama adalah tagline mereka adalah clean with colors. Jadi keset itu kalau dulu itu yang tradisional ya, sekarang itu bisa merah, oranye dan segala macam. Menarik sekali. Dan pasarnya itu pasar ekspor. Ya, pasar ekspor itu di Eropa, di Arab Saudi dan segala macam. Itu pun dari reuse and recycle. Tapi mereka punya konsep yang seperti itu. Dia main di papan akselerasi. Kalau di Indonesia papan akselerasi antara 20 sampai 50 miliar, dan itu lolos. Ini sangat menarik. Yang kedua adalah yang saya sampaikan pada waktu konferensi kemarin adalah dari sisi sales atau penjualannya harus masuk dalam marketplace. Syukur-syukur ada digital payment dalam cashless ya, dalam pembelanjaannya. Bukan kontraknya dengan minimarket seluruh Indonesia, bukan. Nah, ini konsentrasi itulah yang perlu dikembangkan juga. Kalau menurut saya hampir sama. Di situ di kajian-kajiannya cukup menarik sekali baik dari Bu Erna maupun Dr. Hasaria. Satu hal yang menjadi concern saya adalah pendanaan, akses pendanaan, akses funding ya, itu yang menarik. Tapi sebagaimana kita ketahui di capital market, good corporate governance harus jelas ya. Full and fair disclosure principle harus dilakukan. Nah, artinya bukan sebagai pemilik awal, mereka juga harus merelakan sedikit intervensi dari otoritas dan bursa, termasuk pada pemegang saham publik. Jadi menurut saya itu Pak Reza. So far, saya mengapresiasi inisiasi Ranger Profesor Reza dalam menyelenggarakan International Lecture Share Series. Kalaupun diperkenankan atau yang hampir sama materinya, saya siap karena konsentrasi saya atau orientasi saya pada capital market. Mungkin itu Pak Reza, terutama pada small medium enterprise.
Yes.
Ya, terima kasih.
Dr. Budi.
Terima kasih Bu Hasaria, sangat menarik sekali, sangat inspiratif. Mbak Eva juga gitu. Terima kasih ya ilmunya. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam. Karena inspiratif kedua-duanya akan kita undang ke Surabaya makan pecel.
Siap. Ramon, Pak.
Oh,
Oke, right. Dr. Budi